All right, so here's some news. This one I thought was amazing. And once again, they're blocking me on, but anyway, the point is, oh, I haven't logged in. Anyway, California has suspended the autonomous robotaxis from I think Cruise, because it got way too much. So we wanted this for a while, so that's good, because they've been blocking emergency vehicles and running over people and stuff. So now Atom Computing is going to have a 1,000-qubit quantum computer. The first one's so big, however, it's very noisy. But this quantum computer works by nuclear spin, which is a very good thing, because that probably means it doesn't have to be cooled to cryogenic temperatures, and it's very independent of external means. So using nuclei as the qubits is a very promising way to move forward. And the way they do it is the nuclear spin or nuclear state of some kind can be altered by the electrons on the outside, and those can be adjusted with a photon. And nuclear states, because they're so isolated from the rest of the world, the quantum states will last for maybe 10 seconds, whereas normally quantum states only last for like a microsecond, which is a huge problem. So this is really a quite promising technique, although they say it's currently pretty noisy. And noise is really the enemy of quantum computing. If you have a lot of qubits, they don't do you much good if they're noisy, because then you have to waste a lot of computing power doing error correction. That's one of the many reasons why, although quantum computers exist, they can't yet do anything of any importance, like crack public key cryptography. We're very far from that. They have to get like 1,000 or 1,000,000 times better than they are before they're actually going to do anything very exciting. But everyone expects them to get there because they're making progress.
I found out that quantum computer, the Shor algorithm,
Yeah.
was made by the guy, Peter Shor.
Yeah.
He was for finding, factoring large integer.
Yeah, it's for factoring the product. It's for factoring numbers. Yes.
For finding the factoring large integer numbers.
Yes, exactly, and that's a famous problem. You know, that's been an unsolved problem for thousands of years.
And the Grover algorithm was
Right.
written by Love Grover.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for searching database.
I think Grover also cracks AES, but I'm not sure.
No, it was originally designed for searching database.
Yeah, but I think that is the one. There's one that attacks AES, and there's one that attacks RSA. Shor attacks RSA.
The Grover algorithm was to do a database search.
It was, yes, but I think it's the one where some variant of it actually is the one that attacks AES, and it's not very effective. The AES attack only cuts.
It wasn't done for AES. Probably they sorted something out.
Yeah. Anyway, there is an AES quantum computing attack, but it isn't as powerful as the RSA attack. The RSA attack is so powerful that even 1,000,000 bits will not be enough when they get it working. You just have to abandon RSA completely. But the AES attack just cuts the number of cycles required, so you can crack a 128-bit key with only 2 to the 64 calculations. So if you use AES 256, it still remains secure, even if you have high-quality quantum computers, as far as anybody knows. But RSA and elliptic curve, we have to totally abandon them. They're going to be totally destroyed by powerful quantum computers. Anyway, this is pretty interesting. A bunch of sites that let you log in with third-party sites. Now there's, if you Canvas that we use uses SAML, which is one way to do this. One way to have a identity provider where you log in, and then a service provider that's different. Here's the way a lot of people do it with OAuth, which is another way to do it, where you send a request to a company like Facebook and say, I want you to log in with the Facebook guy, and then send me a cryptographic token, which will give me access to some of that data, like just your name or your email address. And so now I know that much, but I never saw your password. And the problem is, OAuth, some of the code is running at Facebook. And that's pretty good code, but some of the code has to be run on the local website using it, and that code is often very poorly written. So that's what happened here. A bunch of them were not correctly, a bunch of famous sites like Grammarly, Video, and an Indonesian e-commerce site were not implementing OAuth correctly. And they say this is in fact a very common problem. They can accept tokens without verifying them at all, so you can just claim to be the administrator and they'll just believe you. And sometimes they just let you reuse that token somewhere else. And so, anyway, it's quite common that there are mistakes in OAuth. It's probably one of the more common flaws on the web. And as far as I know, there's not an easy way to test for it, which there really needs to be, because OAuth is quite complicated, and the identity provider, like Google or Facebook, has no way to know whether the other site is doing the right thing. They give you code and say, use this code, but often they have trouble, and so they turn off parts of it to make it work. That's what people very, very often do. The security gets in the way, so they just downgrade the security. I remember I found an app where a guy broke HTTPS, and he was handling Amazon credentials. It was a site you could sign up, and it was log in with Amazon for you and find out when the price fell to a good price. But he was handling it all with broken SSL, and I contacted him and said, you're enabling man-in-the-middle attacks. And he said, yeah, you know what happened is people couldn't get through. They were getting error messages, so I just turned off that SSL, and everything works much better now. It's a lot better. And I'm like,
Who was that?
it's an app. It's an Android app that takes your Amazon credentials and then logs into Amazon repeatedly to notice when the price falls. And I said, dude, you can't just break HTTPS. He said, why not? It makes it work better. Customers are happier. Why are you complaining? I had been back and forth like 8 times trying to talk him into patching it. Because from his point of view, it's better without that. Less error messages, the customers are happy. I don't know what that cryptography junk is for anyway. That's what a lot of them feel like. Anyway, so this OAuth has been leaking tokens and credentials. For these sites have been fixed, but they say there's probably a lot more with the same flaw, which I imagine there are, because it's very easy to do. This one's not too exciting. Here's another one. Yeah. I wonder if I can inspect the element and just delete this stupid element. Often you can.
It shouldn't work. If they have a great engineers, it should disable like scrolling.
There we are. It works well enough. All right. So this is the point. The police can get all the Google surveillance data. Now, it turns out the default settings of Google let it know the location of your phone everywhere, even when you're not running Google Maps or anything. And the police can get that, and they do get it. And they're talking about, there's just a whole lot of this data being collected. It's hard to stop. There are ways to request more anonymity from Google, but that's pretty much hopeless because Google's whole business model is to invade your privacy as much as possible. And so, anyway, it's a thing to be aware of. I keep going, where do I get it up to? How much can I delete here? Looks like I can keep deleting an awful lot. Okay, finally deleted too much.
Another thing, San Francisco banned cruise.
They did. The California banned cruise. Yeah, which is a good idea. That's the problem. The city couldn't do it. It was a statewide decision. But apparently the recent scandals got so bad that they revoked their license. They have to quit running those automatic taxis.
But it's safe for them to like human drivers.
Yeah, well, that's what they're going to have to use for a
It
while.
might have happened like only once, something like that. But
Anyway.
I mean, in general sense, I think it's much safer than the human drivers.
Well, you would think so, yes. And maybe they are safer than human drivers. That's what Elon Musk claims, but his evidence is very unclear. So anyway, what this guy wrote, again, in the Washington Post, I didn't make gift links out of these like maybe I should have. This guy works for the branch of the U.S. government that delivers weapons to our allies. And he says all the previous weapons shipments, we have had vigorous discussions of whether it's a good idea. We say we know that innocent people are going to get hurt, but maybe it's better than not sending the weapons. And he said that he quit because sending the weapons to Israel, you were not allowed to have any discussion at all. He started the usual discussion, well, we should do an analysis and say, how much good will it do, how much harm will it do? And they say, shut up, we're not going to do any of that. We're sending it all right now. And he said, that's not the normal procedure. They said, that's what happens with Israel. And he's not happy, so he quit. He'd been working there for many years, under 4 presidents. Yeah, this is a thing to be aware of. And this, what's interesting, I've talked to my friends and stuff, in America, this is a matter of a generation gap. Old people like me, people age 60 and above, at that time, 80% of Americans are 100% behind Israel. Just give them everything. They're just regarded as basically part of the United States. You never question anything they do. And people below 30, it's only like 20% that feel that way. There's been a huge cultural shift in attitudes towards Israel, just like, for example, there's been similar cultural shift in attitudes towards gay marriage, very much similar. Almost everybody hated it, now almost everybody's on board with it. So anyway, right.
Well, Obama signed the agreement with Israel to guarantee the weapon deliveries.
Yes, all the presidents have of both parties have been very much 100% on board with Israel, but they're all old too. They come from the earlier generation.
Obama signed the agreement.
I know, but they've all been that way. You can't win the presidency without that. It's been an absolute, that's why all the presidential candidates are strongly coming out in favor of Israel. It's been one of the truisms in America. You can't possibly ever win an election unless you're 100% on board with Israel. Most American voters expect that. They consider it.
Just like, you know, if you come out and voice support for the Palestinian and the people get fired.
That's right. That's why there are like 3 people in Congress that support the Palestinians, and they are pariahs. It's just not a popular opinion, although it's changing. And you know, I must say,
CEO say he's a support Palestine and then he has to resign.
a lot of people got fired, they got canceled. People are canceling their attendance at conferences just for saying the mildest thing, even slightly in spite of Palestine. It's really a dangerous topic. That's why a lot of people just stay out of it.
People against us, like, you know, used to bombing, so, you know.
I know, I mean,
Bombing a city and.
that's why I like what Biden said. Biden said, look, you have the right to defend yourselves. This attack was terrible, but if you let anger make you do foolish things, it will do more harm than good, which is what we did here, and it's what they're doing there. I mean, you get angry, you want revenge, but that is not necessarily the wisest path to a good solution. But it's hard to preach wisdom at people when they're scared and angry. They're too emotional to hear anything right now.
Doesn't care. The U.S. is paying for the war anyway.
Well, but they're paying for it too, in the sense that this conflict just goes, I know, they're paying for it in the sense that their people are dying. The conflict will just go on and on and on. If you don't resolve it, then you just have to put up with, you know, more generations of it. So it's a shame, but there seems to be no path to make it stop right away. Anyway, see, Obama still decried the settlers. Yeah, that's right, the settler policies. Yeah, that's right, you do what you can. Anyway, I'm gonna